It's Sunday morning, and every decent man and woman is listening to Test Miles with Nick Miles on FM News 101 KXL. Buckle in.
Well, welcome to Test Miles. On this week's show, we're doing things slightly differently. We're not in the studios at KXL. We've actually come down to Wilsonville, and the whole show today will be from Wilsonville. The first half of the show, we are going to give you, the listener, a little bit of an exclusive tour around some of the cars that will be coming to the Wilsonville World of Speed Museum, which opens next year. Now, introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, I'm Ron Hughley. I'm curator for the World of Speed Museum.
And you're hopefully, Ron, going to be our guide today. Sean is also here. We walked into this very secret, top secret warehouse somewhere in Wilsonville with a collection of cars. Sean, how do you feel looking at some of these vehicles?
Oh, I feel awesome. I'm begging to drive the Earnhardt Jr. car around the block.
Unfortunately, I don't know if our insurance for the show covers it. Ron, you're in charge of this and somewhat in the acquisitions of these cars. You've been helping Tony and the rest of the team at the World of Speed with the information and looking at these vehicles. How full is your head?
Well, some people say I have an empty head, but no. As my job of curator, it's my job to find cars that will be on display there, whether it's cars from the collection or cars that are on loan. I've been in racing all my life. I've done most all forms of racing, either driving or crewing, with the exception of Formula One and rally car stuff. So I have quite a bit of knowledge. Cars are my life. I just read about them, go to the races, study them. That's my life.
So you have there's three cars here that we're standing between, and these cars are going to make up the wall, the angled track wall that's going to be in the museum. Tell me first of all about the idea of the wall.
For a lot of people, they watch NASCAR on TV and they see these cars going around these tracks, and they think, well, it's two-dimensional. You just see it on the television. When a fan goes to a race, they see it on the track, and the track they see the banking of the corners, some more than others. And we had an area in the museum, and we wanted to do a display for NASCAR stock cars, and we thought, this is kind of an interesting idea. Let's look at building a wall that we can put some cars on. And Daytona has got banking in the corners at 32 degrees. So we built there is a wall, or plinth, or whatever you want to call it, that's roughly 45 feet long. It's about 24 feet high. It's at 32 degrees of banking. So we've got four full-size actual racing cars that were ran in the NASCAR series that will go up on this wall, so you see for real what it would be like to stand at the bottom of the track and look up at a bank with these four cars in their somewhat natural environment.
I think what an amazing idea for those people who have never got to be up close and personal with NASCAR. Right, so three of the cars that are going to be on the wall are right in front of us right now. So take us through them. What do we got?
Well, right now we're standing between Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 2000 Monte Carlo, the one that he set the pole with at the Michigan 400. Uniquely, it was the only race in which all three Earnhardts, Dale Sr., Dale Jr., and then his half-brother, Kerry, they all three qualified for that race. It's the only time that all three raced at a race. Unfortunately, Dale went out about two-thirds of the way through the race with engine failure in the car. But we have this car. It's the Budweiser car. It's a pretty unique car in the fact that when DEI sold their inventory, the Buck Baker Driving School in Atlanta bought it, and then they put a second seat in it, and they used it as a ride-along training car, and then most of the time it was used to give kids from the Atlanta Children's Hospital rides.
So it's really very similar to how it was when it was raced, though.
Yes, I mean, this is basically how the car was as raced, with the exception that they had put a second seat in it. You look at it, the car's ready to go racing.
And so, looking at it, first of all, when you get up close and personal with these cars, they look very different than when you see them, on the track, because they obviously look like Chevys or they look like Fords or whatever. But it's really a purpose-built vehicle, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the things. We've got a vast difference in ages of cars that will be represented on the wall. Some of these stock cars, especially the cars from the 60s, have kind of gotten lost. They got destroyed. They got used. But we are fortunate enough with the cars. We're going to have a representative car from the early 70s, one from the late 70s, the 80s, and then this one from right at 2000.
Now, Sean, were you watching NASCAR when this car was racing?
I was watching NASCAR when this car was racing.
How you were like knee-high to a grasshopper at that point?
Pretty much, but I grew up loving cars and racing, and so I'm idolizing this car. I want us to turn it on so the listeners can hear how powerful these cars really are.
Are we able to do that? Maybe we'll do that at the end of the break. All right. So what are we standing? What's behind us right now?
Well, what we're looking at is Terry Labonte's 1988 Monte Carlo Aero Coupe. This was a car that Terry ran in the 1988 season. It's as raced. We were able to acquire this one and one other car. These were Junior Johnson cars. Junior Johnson was the car owner, and Terry drove for him. Ironically, it also is a Budweiser-sponsored car with Banquet Foods as an associate sponsor. One thing, as you start to go, as we're working from the 2000 back in time, there's 10 years, 12 years difference between the cars. One of the stark differences is that this car has glass windows in it. It has a Lexan.
That's a glass window.
Yes, a glass window with the chrome trim around it. NASCAR they were just in a transition from basically going nothing but purpose-built race stuff, whether it be windows, decals for headlights, no bumpers other than just big plastic fascia. This car also utilizes stock floor pans, stock roof, stock hood. You can actually see the crease in the side when they did the body where the door skin would have gone on. It's interesting. And then you look inside, you don't see quite the accessories in this car like you do in Dale's car. There's not the legs, the leg supports. There is no provision for helmet air. They've only got one ignition system on this car. Dale's has a redundant backup second system. And there's a couple of bars that aren't in this car that they mandated at a later time.
Yeah, it looks much more stark, and the dashes are like a strip of aluminum with gauges kind of cut out of it and put in, as opposed to the much more modern car.
Yeah, the cars that are out there now are completely different. Dale's car is somewhat similar with like you say, another aluminum panel that holds some gauges. The one difference is the tachometer on this car is a mechanical tach. It's not an electric tach.
Wow. So big changes, and then the big car down the end here looks much wider and fatter than the one we were just looking at, right?
Looks are deceiving. Basically, it has the same footprint as the other two cars. This is Cale Yarborough's Oldsmobile 442. This was the car that he ran in the 78, 79, and 80 season. Interestingly enough, this is basically 80 was the last year where they were allowed to run what they called the big cars. In that year, a race team could run two different types of cars, and they would run a Monte Carlo for short tracks and road courses. And then this Oldsmobile, it has, if you look at the line of the roof, the back window, it has a much better aero characteristic to it than the Monte Carlo did of that period. This car was what was called a speedway car. This is what was run on the 2.5 mile tracks. We also got this from the Junior Johnson collection. And one of the other things is you'll notice it has bumpers. It has the factory bumpers on the car.
Right.
There was
they look like they've been riveted on to keep them there.
Well, what they do is they put an aluminum panel that blends from the quarter panel of the car to the leading edge of the bumper on the back side and on the front, and also on the front bumper. And what that does is that just helps the air. It's just one less thing to capture air. And this was, they were starting to learn, from the late 60s on about aerodynamics and what role that played in speedway racing.
So let's put a value. What do you think about a value of these cars?
Oh, they're priceless to me. Let's just say you're looking at nice Porsche,
And so,
a new Porsche. Yeah.
Everybody, you probably prefer to have this. All right. Well, can we go start up this? Are we able to do that or? You're on KXL-FM News 101. I'm Nick Miles.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
Welcome back to Test Miles. I'm Nick Miles, and today, outside of the studio, we're in Wilsonville. We're in a warehouse which is owned by the new museum which is coming in Wilsonville called The World of Speed. And we're with Ron. He is the creator of the collection here, some of the collection that we're in the warehouse of. This looks to me, for an uneducated person, like a drag car.
Yes, this is what we're standing next to is the 1979 Top Fuel World Championship car. It was driven by Rob Bruins, owned by Gaines Markley. They were out of the Seattle area.
Massive engine, but this car is very significant, isn't it? Because it won, but it didn't win.
Yeah, this car was really I've got it. We just finished a restoration on it, and I'm quite attached to this car because. The story is this car kind of set the groundwork for a chassis builder in Seattle named Al Swindoll, the Tacoma area actually. He ended up going on to build chassis for Shirley Muldowney, a lot of the greats in top fuel drag racing, and this car was basically the blueprint for that. This car was basically the genesis for Swindoll's chassis style. They built the car late in 1977 in December and debuted it in 1978. Right out of the trailer, it runnered-up at the Winter Nationals. It won 2 events in 1978. It won the Fall Nationals in Seattle and then won the World Finals in Ontario in 1978. That's why they have the number 3 on the side of the car for the 1979 season. Now, in 79, they really started making some power, and the car started running hard, but it started having some freak breakage, some bad luck, and he runnered up 4 times in that year, but he won all of the divisional races, and that put him in a point situation to where he was the world, he got the world championship, and to this day, he is the only this is the only top fuel car to win a world championship in NHRA drag racing without winning a national event that year.
Wow, that's very significant. Now, let's talk about the restoration. What did you have to do to it? What condition was it in when you got it? And where did you get it from?
The crew member that worked on the car in 1979, a gentleman by the name of Chris Horn, had located the car, and he purchased it, and he had aspirations of restoring the car to basically what we have here. He also found the engine. Another unique thing is that this has all the original body panels. It has the original wheels and tires on it, the wing, and it has the engine that was actually used in 1979 to win the World Championship. That cylinder block, the KB block number 463, is with the car. We had a lot of work. We had to go through and completely repaint the body, had to fix some body panels on it, and we had to do a mechanical restoration. The motor, we had to do the engine. My crew chief, Scott Davis, he was instrumental in doing the engine build on it, and we had some other minor fabrication things to do, but it's always difficult to build a race car. It's extremely difficult to restore a race car.
So let's talk about acquiring these vehicles, which is what you do. Where did you find it?
Actually, ironically, Chris found us. As we've been out there, the word is getting out, and I'm getting calls on a weekly basis. Hey, I've got a car you guys should have. And Chris had contacted us. He said, "Hey, I got this car. I think you guys would be the ones to do it. I can't do it." And I jumped at the chance. It's this is going to be one of our key mark, what I like to call our anchor cars in the museum. This is going to be a fixture in the collection, as well as we have the Jungle Jim funny cars, and we have the Eddie Kuzma midget, some really classic, iconic race cars of the periods.
Let's talk about a value for this car. So to obtain something like this, if you would go buy it on the open market, and I know often people want you to have a great price for these vehicles because you can look after them and continue the love and restore them, but a value for something like this?
Well, you can putting a value on something like this is always a challenge, because when you deal with a car that has got some significant history, there's a sentimental value attached to it as like who has the car. Right. I would venture to say that a car like this would probably go for somewhere in the six figures.
That's pretty incredible. And then you've probably plowed in a good deal of money to make it restored to factory or to original fabrication condition.
We have spent some money, a lot of time to make it what it is. Yes.
So tell me, in this car specifically, do you know 0 to 60 times or 0 to 100 times?
This car ran in 580s at 250 mile an hour back in the day. Its 60-foot numbers would have been under a second, probably right at about a 995.
Wow, and then you think you'd have to pay $2.4 million to get a production car like a Bugatti Veyron to do 2.4, 0 to 60 and 2.4. It's just, and you could half the price, quarter of the price, you could have this.
Right. Well, you can't. That's drag racing vehicles are complete. The street vehicles, you can't compare them on the 0 to 60, and
sure. But people always get excited when they get those sort of 3 second or 3.5 seconds 0 to 60 in a street car, and what they don't realize is there's many cars out in the world that do that. They eat that for lunch.
That's true.
All right. Well, you're listening to Test Miles, Ron. I want to thank you for taking us through your part of your collection. World of Speed is the website. If people have a fabulous, worldofspeed.org, if they have a fabulous car, your email's on the website, and they can send you information about it if something that they feel should be in the collection, and they can monitor the website for some of these cars that will be going up, right?
Correct. Yeah, we at worldofspeed.org we have we have the gallery up there of the collection, what we have right now and what we'll be in, and we're looking for some significant cars that would be a nice addition into the museum for loan or display, as well as artifacts. We have our custodian of artifacts, Katrina. She's also on there. If you have neat old race programs or posters, shirts, crew shirts or whatever, absolutely, we'd love to have those as well.
This is definitely for the race fan and for those who love a little bit of heritage and focused in the Northwest specifically, and they can probably visit the museum. No exact opening date, but the beginning of next year, and they'll be able to come by and see these cars themselves.
Yes, we're spring of next year we'll be open.
All right, you're on KXL-FM News 101. I'm Nick Miles.
It's Test Miles on FM News 101.
Well, welcome back to Test Miles, and we have left the World of Speed warehouse across the road and come over to a new facility, which is the pride and joy of the Tonkin family of dealerships. This is the brand new Gran Turismo dealership for Ferrari and Maserati. And standing in the background is Art Smith, who is the big chief. He's making sure that Steve Wintermantle, who is going to be talking to us, doesn't say anything that he shouldn't say. Steve, has your pay gone down considerably to pay for this beautiful building?
No. In fact, we're banking on it going up because of the increased volume. So,
is that? Can I ask? Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's a correct statement.
Everybody's hoping that the new building is going to change the way that sales happen, and it is changing the way sales are happening for Maserati and Ferrari. Now, beautiful new building, and we're standing in the front corner, which is where you have a hoist And on the hoist, you have something pretty special, don't you, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely. This building is 28,000 square feet of cutting-edge Ferrari corporate ID. So just like anything you'd see in any major city across the United States, the finishes, the paint colors, the trim, all of that stuff is updated. And specifically in what we call the jewel case here at the end of the building, we've got 2 stories of glass, and we've got a lift that'll accommodate just about anything you'd want to put on it, that we can lift the car up 7 feet in the air, and it becomes a great showpiece from the corner of Elligson and Parkway Avenue here in Wilsonville. And this particular car is the first one that we've had up. We've been in the store about 3.5 weeks now. It's the 2003 Ferrari Enzo, and if you're going to go fishing, you might as well have the right bait, I guess would be my analogy, right? This car looks amazing. Up high, down low, from the side, there's not a bad angle on it.
Even from underneath, which we have been standing underneath it. You actually put the hoist down so we could get a better look of it, look at it. And this must be absolutely fantastic to be able to have such an amazing collection, which we know that Ron Tonkin has an amazing car collection, and to be able to bring those Ferraris in here to show them off, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We obviously we showcase a lot of the stuff that's for sale, but we use this hoist, which, convenience-wise is it's more about display than it is about sales. So we can put that vehicle, that special car from the collection, like you say, up for everybody to see, and then we can rotate that out on maybe a quarterly basis, so that the cars not only get driven, they get detailed, they get shown off, social media updates, and we can show people cars that otherwise sit behind closed garage doors all the time.
Now, you said this was a 2003.
It is, yeah.
So this is 11 years old, and I'm looking at it now, and the guys that detail your cars clearly need to detail my house, because this looks like it was made yesterday.
Yeah, your house and mine both. Let me tell you, the cool thing about this lift is that it allows you to see what's underneath the car, and the cool thing about the Enzo being on the lift is that there's just as much attention to detail and cool carbon fiber work underneath the car as there is on top where it's actually been painted. So, the Ferrari design is not just cool on the top side, it's also cool on the bottom side, and that's something most people don't expect when they come in here and get to see the underside of a supercar.
If you're paying that sort of price, you better be getting it a full package deal, right?
That's even the lug nut on this car is cool, and there's just one per wheel, so that knockoff lug nut, even that is very cool when you see it individually.
So give me a few stats on the car. What are we talking, engine size and horsepower?
So horsepower-wise, this car puts out 660 horsepower. The Enzo was a top speed rating of 217 miles an hour, according to Ferrari. They were all 2003 model year cars. They built initially a run of 399. I think there's some debate as to whether there was a 400th one made for charity, which would have gone, I believe, to the Pope. Is that right?
Actually, the hood was signed by the Pope, and then it was auctioned off for the tsunami victims, with all that money going to charity.
Wow.
Yeah,
all right.
so definitely a small fraternity of guys that were ever offered this car. 70 of the 400 came to the U.S., and this one's been part of the Tonkin collection. It's new since '03. And when we pulled it onto the lift, it had 2,225 miles.
And now when you back it off, does that go down?
I don't know. If you go with the Ferris Bueller math, it sure should. But I don't know. If that's the case, we should go put some more miles on and then just use reverse a little more.
Now, you'll love this because you brought up Ferris Bueller. We talked a little bit about this, but there's a great story that's been on the news the last few weeks. Is some young gentleman. His dad was out of town recently, and he decided to have his friends over and show them his dad's Lamborghini. So this is in Louisiana. So he takes it for a spin, and of course it's getting later at night, and it starts raining, and he comes home, and he's taking the corners a little fast, and guess what? The car and a telegraph pole become one, and he's okay despite a broken pelvis and a few broken ribs. However, it's like, I'm sure at this point, you guys, there's an opportunity there, because you can call his dad and say, if you'd had a Ferrari, you wouldn't have had these issues, right?
Yeah, we can certainly cross-market in that situation.
And the FF was a four-wheel drive, so if there's that issue of rain on the road, it grips.
That's right. Yeah, we'll just have to start listening to the police scanner a little better for our marketing efforts, I guess.
All right. So now this particular vehicle is not for sale. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. This is here specifically for the purpose of just showing off to the public, which is what we intend to use this display jewel case for. Majority of the time. So even if it's a big offer, it's one we're going to have to decline.
Even what would be a fair offer?
I think a fair offer on a 1,200 mile or a 2,200 mile car, excuse me, is probably in the 1.4 to 1.5 million dollar range.
Yeah, I think that's about accurate. Yeah, and they've been going up. They've been tracking the collector market with Ferraris, and it's been on fire lately.
Yeah, no, I noticed that every time I see a record break for some kind of car sale, well, it's always a Ferrari that's breaking the records, right? So you have a pretty amazing collection of Ferraris, and they're going to be up here. Can we get to start this one up?
Yeah, we can do that. So you want to see everybody fly out of their offices wondering what the heck's going on?
All right.
Let's just hit the start button and see how many people are here today.
Let's go. I'm going to stand at this end so we can hear it. Because I probably won't be able to do this after we've started, this is Test Miles on FM News 101 KXL, and be prepared to hear the sound of a $1.4 million Ferrari scare people out of their offices.
It's Test Miles on FM News 101.
Well, welcome back to the final segment of Test Miles, and we are finishing our show at Ron Tonkin Gran Turismo at the new location in Wilsonville. And on the cards in the future, we'd like to spend some time down here and do a live broadcast. We're working on that right now. But we're getting a tour around the building from Art Smith and Steve Wintermantle, who are in charge of all things delicious at this location. Art, when is the official opening? Because we're kind of in this weird unofficial area, aren't we? Like it's open, but the grand opening hasn't happened.
The grand opening hasn't happened yet, but as far as the official opening, we are officially open.
Okay,
Yes.
And you officially have a cash register, so you're ready for business.
Absolutely, and we're doing quite a bit of it.
Good, excellent. And if you are in the market for a high-end luxury sports car, like especially a Ferrari or a Maserati, you want to come down before they're all gone, because I may take that FF with me today. Again, that's probably the nicest Ferrari ever made. So you have a really nice area in here, a beautiful reception. One of the things is the artwork, and it looks like somebody put a lot of thought into this art.
They did, and it was Ferrari corporate in Italy that did all the thinking behind the artwork. They were very specific in putting the package together and ran it through their architects in Rome. And then we basically installed it here, and it's quite beautiful.
It does have a very Italian feel to this store. I mean, obviously by design, because they're an Italian company, but being places like Venice and Rome, it has that very Italian clean feeling. So we're in this sort of area here where someone would come in and choose their Ferrari and design their Ferrari. Behind me, you sort of have this brake caliper wall and this steering wheel. Is this your area, or should I be asking Steve this? Someone look at these steering wheels and they choose the color they want. Is that basically how it works?
That sure is. The way that Ferraris are made nowadays, 80% of them are spec'd out by the clients to their specifications, and they can be as particular as they want to be. Everything from steering wheel colors to stitching to brake caliper colors, leather, Alcantara, you name it.
So I know you have 6 colors of brake caliper here and 6 colors of steering wheel, but that's not really what it's all about. That doesn't end there, does it?
No, that just scratches the surface. I mean, Ferrari will do pretty much anything you'd like as far as matching up a color. They'll come out with any kind of leather you'd like, or even paint for that matter, paint to sample.
All right, so let's walk around here to this room at the back. This is kind of the second portion of the room where you can see different choices of cars. You have 6 seats on display here and multiple leathers as well. And this is designed to give the customer sort of an idea of what they might choose?
That's exactly correct. This is basically our configuration room, or Ferrari calls it the Atelier. We've got a 63-inch touchscreen configurator where you can build your car on the screen and change colors really quickly and make comparisons. We've also got 25 different paint samples, on the walls, and it's just, you can be as creative as you'd like.
Can we walk over to the Maserati side?
Sure.
And have a look here? So across a nice big flat white marble floor, and underneath these amazing lights which are sort of embedded in the facade, this almost looks more like an operating theater.
Yeah, it really is. The idea behind the store was that the cars would truly be the stars. And with all the white marble and everything else, it's designed to have the colors of these cars just pop.
So this is the Maserati room around the corner. I love the fact when I came in here, the table actually has the Maserati emblem on the leg of the table.
That's correct. It wouldn't be official any other way.
And then all the colors sort of behind cases, and the leather's hung up there, so you can actually feel the leather. And someone would design their Maserati here.
Exactly.
All right.
The same way as you do a Ferrari.
And of course, just slightly different. And then when someone's going to buy one from the factory, presumably you spend a lot of time with them, allowing them to experience some of the options that they have, and then they build their car. And then how long does it take for that car to get here?
Typically, it'll be about a 6 to 9 month lead time on a dedicated order. And we do maintain demonstrator vehicles of each type car that we sell for Maserati. So, for example, somebody could drive a Ghibli, play with all the features, and then spec out the colors and the stitching and the wheel style, depending on what they want on their particular car. In a lot of cases, we have it ready and in stock, but in the case where somebody wants something very, very specific, about 6 months.
Let's walk back outside to the reception area. And so you have all the new Maseratis and Ferraris sitting out here. But there is an area over here where there is gently used Ferraris that are available and other vehicles. So if somebody isn't necessarily in the market for a brand new car, you have a choice of gently used vehicles.
That's right. So everything from pre-owned and certified Maserati and Ferrari to Audi R8s and Lotus Evoras and just anything you could imagine. Bentley Continental GT I see right down the road there.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable, actually. I was just looking at that, and for the price, I might consider that. And I think it only has about 25,000 miles on it, too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a beautiful car, local car, and we'll put your name on it and get the paperwork started, and when we get done with this interview, you can drive it home.
Well, we should talk about this, too. Right at the very front of the store, you have a piece of classic Ferrari art.
We do, Nick, and this is where we're standing now is our delivery area where we deliver all of our cars we sell, whether it's new or pre-owned. And currently, we're pretty proud to have a 1967 Ferrari 330 GTS on display. This happens to be Mr. Tonkin's first Ferrari.
Wow.
And also, anytime you would ask him, this was his favorite Ferrari.
Wow.
And this is one of 100 made, and it's a one-owner car, and it's been in the family since birth.
And the best thing about this is you cannot go to Pebble Beach and see this car for sale there because it will never be sold.
That's correct. This car will stay in the family forever.
And a very beautiful bright yellow it is. Well, we were going to go look at the service bays. We've run out of time because there is so much to see here, but I guess my best advice to you, my friendly listener, is you have the opportunity to come down and see the new dealership. Where is the new dealership located for somebody who needs to find it?
Well, we're in Wilsonville, and the address is 25300 Southwest Parkway Avenue. We're off of the Ellickson exit off of I-5. So we're only about 3 or 4 minutes south of Bridgeport Village. And
it's very easy to find the location. You can see the Ferrari sign as soon as you come basically off of the freeway and you get up close. You can see it for the building. You're open. You're ready for business. If somebody wants to buy a luxury car, if they need more information, you have a website too?
Absolutely. Website's real easy. It's rtgt.com. We've got all of our inventory on there, boutique items, historical information on the store, as well as all biographics on our sales staff.
So finally, Steve, before we leave the show today, I have about $20 in my pocket. Is there something I can buy from the gift shop?
I think we've got hats that start from 20 or 25. So yeah, there is something that, you don't have to come in and spend, like you said, $120 on an iPad case or anything like that. We've got keychains that start at 15, hats I think are 25, and then on up from there with polo shirts and everything else.
Sean, can you lend me $5?
No.
I think I'll be taking a keychain home. You're listening to Test Miles and FM News 101 KXL. Go to our website at testmiles.com to get more information, to hear old shows, and we would love to have you next week on the show. Until then, Thanks for listening. I'm Nick Miles.
Favorite us, tweet us, friend us, love us, all at testmiles.com.